Hello and welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop a hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello back. If you're with us in person, hello, everybody. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and sign the guest book, either in the lobby or at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Today's sermon is Poisonous Perfection, What's the Antidote? With Renée Brill. Announcements. It is time for our first Tuesday social justice film. This Tuesday on March 7th, we will be screening The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks. The event is free, so make plans to join this Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Then next week, we have Nature Walks and Spirit Talks, March 14th, 15th, and 16th. The Nature Walks are at 6 o'clock. The Spirit Talks start at 7. You can find more information on our website or in the e-blast. Let's get ready to lobby. Scott made me do that. He made me do that. So I hope I killed it. Scott made me do it. That's the point. Let's get ready to lobby. Legislative Action Day is March 13th, and INTUC is having a how-to webinar on best tactics and the bills we're working on this year. That's tomorrow, March 6th at 7 o'clock. Register intuc.org/TexasLeg 2023. If you would like to help us on our path to becoming an anti-racist church, please join the Widening the Circle of Concern Action Group tomorrow and every Monday at 3 o'clock on Zoom. And if you are white identifying, join our White Accountability Group, or WAG, on the first and third Sundays at 12:15. And yes, today is the first Sunday. So we will have our WAG group today at 12:15 over in the Hope Building. Links and information can be found in the e-blast. Speaking of the e-blast, you can find more information on everything that I've mentioned and more in the e-blast. This week, you'll find updates from Widening the Circle of Concern and materials for the WAG group. Teamwork Tuesdays are 4 to 6 o'clock. They've been having so much fun. We should all join. There's iGive, because Amazon Smile is not a thing anymore. And Texas Legislative Action Day, March 13th. There are lots of really great and helpful links for Texas UU Justice Ministry in there as well. So give them all a little look-see. It is Sunday, but we don't stop the fun after the service. No, we have talk back at 11:15. That's where we get together and talk about the sermon and related topics. You always get something out of it, whether you come to talk or just listen. We also have adult religious exploration at 11:15 with Sarah on Zoom and in Charity North. Fun stuff. Go and do it. It's so fun. All right, y'all, it has been a minute, but we have some member anniversaries today, and they are fantastic. So get ready. First of all, happy UUCOC anniversary to the fabulous Nancy Harms. Woo, Nancy Harms. Second, we have happy UUCOC anniversary to Lauren Dengley Sanchez. Woo. And third, you know who it's got to be, right? Happy UUCOC anniversary to the fantastically wonderful Carol Dengley. Greeter extraordinaire. All right, to the three of you and to everyone else out there, I hope that you all have a very happy Sunday.
Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Here we gather in sanctuary where we are free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. We welcome you and encourage you to bring your friends. And now for our chalice lighting. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness.
Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
Our opening words today, We Are Whole by Beth Lefevre. We are whole even in the broken places, even where it hurts. We are whole even in the broken places, the places where fear impedes our full engagement with life, where self-doubt corrupts our self-love, where shame makes our faces hot and souls cold. We are whole even in those places where perfectionism blunts the joy of full immersion into person, place, activity, where good enough does not reside except in our silent longings, where our gaps must be fast filled with substance, accomplishment, or frenzied activity, lest they gape open and disgust. We are whole where we would doubt our own goodness, richness, fullness, and depth, where we would doubt our own significance, our own profoundness. We are whole even in our frailty, even when we feel fragmented, alone, insubstantial, insufficient. We are whole even as we are in process, even as we stumble, even as we pick ourselves up again, for we are whole. We are whole.
Please rise in body and or spirit to sing Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into every person's life, knowing that together we can offer comfort. Please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that a joy comes into all our lives, and knowing that joy calls unto joy, knowing that together our voices can rise in chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to Zoom, chat, or send those to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud.
Would you please rise and join us in our covenant?
Because we love one another. Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. Because we love one another, we celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. Because we love one another, we connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
Porque nos amamos una al otro. Honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Porque nos amamos una al otro, celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Porque nos amamos una al otro, ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y excepción. Así que hacemos pacto. Thank you. Be seated, please.
Join me in reciting the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you.
For our widening moment, I have another reading for y'all. Again, not words I wrote. This time our author is Christine Slocum.
She is a UU whose work facilitates housing for people experiencing homelessness and severe mental illness, lives in Buffalo with her husband and 2 kids. And what she has written is called Learning How to Fail. She opens with a quote from Confucius, or attributed to Confucius, I'm going to say, because we know how that quote situation can go sometimes. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising every time we fail. Christine writes, the first thing they teach you in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is how to fall, or so I'm told. I've never tried it. You roll backwards and slap the ground with one or both hands, depending on how you land. The idea is to disperse energy through your arm and the rolling motion instead of hurting yourself with an abrupt impact. Then you get back up. It's easier to try if you know how to fail. How do we strategize failure? Mostly, we avoid it. Failure is painful. It always costs something: money, opportunity, relationships, respect, etc. Add to that stigma because our society, let me give you that again. Add to that stigma because our society has a nasty habit of transferring the evaluation of circumstances to the evaluation of the worth of the people experiencing them. Ugh, I'd rather not. I'd rather insulate myself with a cushion of backup plans. What if I failed? It feels so threatening. Risk aversion and perfectionism are hallmarks of white American culture, and I am, in fact, white. White supremacy culture tells me that I'm only good if I'm perfect, treating all falls as hard stops. Christine goes on to say, I initially chose a very institutional, predictable occupation, academia. I spent a couple years being the square peg in the round hole. It felt safe. I stayed with it longer than I should have for fear that anything else was a failure. Eventually, sitting in my cubicle, it occurred to me, I don't have to do this. I could fail by those metrics and do other things with my life, and it would be okay. Quitting graduate school felt like jumping off a professional cliff into an abyss. What was afterwards? Would my career be okay? I had no idea. I couldn't do it until I was willing to risk failure. Now I have a meaningful job serving my community. I wouldn't be here if I didn't fail first. We can avoid failure or try and roll with whatever the consequences are, trusting we're worthy all the same. I am learning how to hit the metaphorical ground in such a way to get back up. I wish I'd learned that first. She closes with this very brief prayer. May we have peace with our failures and the bravery to keep trying. Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to invite you to ground with me and to take a moment to take a deep breath in and to breathe out. And in. And out. And to connect with your source, your sense of hope, that place of peace within yourself. or even just the solid earth beneath your feet. And when you're ready, to come back and join us in this space this morning. This morning, we're going to keep talking about the qualities of white supremacy culture. This is from a work by Tema Okun, among many others. And an article can be found on her website, which is linked in a number of places, the Facebook Talkback group, or down below in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And one of the reasons why we're working from this article is because I have this hypothesis that while we're starting down this journey to trying to free ourselves from white supremacy culture, we're still interpreting the work we're doing through a lens of white supremacy culture, through the values of white supremacy culture. And if we can name those values and name those qualities and characteristics, it will be easier to see when they're getting in our way, easier to notice and to name. And that once we start noticing them, we can start interrupting them. And that is, I think, the pivot point of where this work starts to become not easy, but with more ease. So last week, we talked about a couple of things. We talked about fear and how fear can get in the way of even starting down the road. How fear separates us from one another. And we talked about the antidote to fear, which is to name it and to spend time with it. We also talked about the idea of finding your own accountability buddy, somebody who you can rely on and trust when they tell you that you can do it. You can do this hard work. Someone who knows how to make you laugh, knows how to ease your mind, and who can be a companion to you when things get hard. Because I might not be that person for you. We can't all be everything to everyone. Maybe that person and you, through talking it out, will come up with your own metaphors that are more useful, or ways of looking at things that are more useful. Maybe it's just easier to trust them when they say that they're still going to like you tomorrow, even if you're working slower than you think you should in becoming free from this white supremacy culture we're trying to do. This week, I want to talk about perfectionism. And we might stay here in perfectionism for more than a week. Personally, I think it's one of my biggest challenges and one of my biggest sources of friction and discomfort in the work that we're doing. I'm a learning different person. And as a lot of people who are my age grew up in a time where there was not a lot of support in the education system for that. And so I spent most of my childhood in places that said to me, you're smart, but you're lazy. Or you're not living up to your potential. Or you're not trying hard enough. Where my inability to fit in or to follow the prescribed path meant that I was bad, I was wrong. And so I have this long experience of worry and anxiety about whether I'm about to fail again, because I have this long experience of feeling like I'm just a failure or I'm just a loser because I can't just get it together. I don't think I'm the only person who feels like that. And in fact, perfectionism really is an insidious poison. We joke, there's this common joke when somebody asks you during an interview, what's your biggest flaw or weakness, where people will say, well, I'm a perfectionist, under the assumption that perfectionism isn't really a weakness. And it sort of is how we think about it in our society, that if you're striving to get to perfect, perfect is possible. You have to work your very hardest to get to perfect. Striving for perfection is the only way to get to excellence, the only way to improve. And if you're perfect, then you deserve your success. That striving for perfection is what makes you successful. And on the other hand, not striving for perfection will lead to failure. Perfectionism sets the bar in reality so high that people cannot attain it. It's an illusion, one that I think many people today feel and are starting to sense, that the standards for success that we've been told are definitions that are in actuality inhumane, not attainable. Not attainable if you don't come from the kind of family that can send you to private school, or not attainable if you don't come from the kind of family that can give you hundreds of thousands of dollars to risk on your first business venture. And in being unattainable, perfectionism is actually quite paralyzing. It can keep us from even getting started. Now, in order to avoid this feeling of being judged by our imperfections, a lot of the times we avoid even talking about our mistakes, trying to maintain this illusion that actually we're perfect. actually we don't have any problems keeping this veneer of being a good person, because we have this internalized belief that if we're not good or working hard enough, that we deserve less. We deserve poverty. It's that combination of perfectionism and fear that says if you make a mistake and you don't try hard enough, you could lose your job and then your house, and then all of these dominoes start falling. It's fear and perfectionism that keeps us in line, keeps us reaching for that carrot that we probably won't ever get to. Perfectionism gets in the way of the work that we're trying to do because it keeps us from being able to talk about the mistakes that we're making. And we have to be able to talk about the mistakes that we're making in order to learn from them. There's a truism where if you want to learn how to paint, the way you do that is not by making one really good painting. The way you do that is by making of thousands of pretty crummy paintings until you eventually improve. It's that ugly messiness that is the actual work of learning. And what happens, especially when we're talking about white supremacy culture, is we as white people, when we hear you made this mistake, you did this thing that contributes to white supremacy culture, what we also hear is this little voice that perfectionism gives us that says, you made a mistake and you're a terrible person. You made a mistake and you don't deserve community or to be loved. And so even though that person who's telling us that we made a mistake and we hurt them isn't saying those things, isn't saying out loud, you know, you deserve suffering because of your mistake, or you deserve poverty or hopelessness, or to be cast out in the cold. White supremacy culture, this perfectionism, is so ingrained in us already that we hear that, even though that's not what's being said. And that's what I mean when I say that this work is made harder when we're listening to each other with this filter of white supremacy culture still on. That filter that says some people are less human than others. That filter that says some people don't deserve happiness. Some people don't deserve community. That voice is white supremacy culture. Now, Tema Okun says there's a couple of ways that we can see this show up in the work that we're trying to do. It can show up in not expressing gratitude to the work that we're doing. It can show up in being over critical of the work that we are doing to the point that it makes us feel hopeless and encourages us to stop, like we're not enough. And anything that gets in the way of this work is something we need to try and address because it's so important. Some of the antidotes to this perfectionism are to express gratitude for one another, to point out the things that we're doing right, even when they're hard. To remember when you make a mistake that you are not the mistake. The behavior was the mistake. But you are still a whole person. And to be kind to yourself in that moment. Take a deep breath and listen. So, this week, I hope you have the time to thank your accountability buddy for the work that you are doing. I hope you have the energy to be gentle with yourself and to start thinking of mistakes as opportunities to learn, real opportunities to learn, not in that kind of corporate spin speech where they say it's an opportunity, but what they mean is you're not getting a raise this year. None of that doublespeak. How can you look for a mistake as something that teaches you something? Plan for it and expect it. How can you hear that you are still worthy, that you are still valuable and important and precious, and that you don't have to be perfect? That's not the request of you. The request is not to be perfect. The request is to be able to hear one another, to be able to start making space where we can be together in our whole selves. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is sacred to so many of us. A community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you are contributing cash, you know what to do. And if you're not, that's okay too. And if you want to text your donation, there's instructions on the back of the program, but please just remember to donate. Thank you.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling
working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy, we are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Our closing words today. What We Do Matters by Laura Horton Ludwig. Spirit of life and love, we are here because we believe what we do matters. We are here because we believe how we live our life matters. That with every act of kindness or meanness, courage or fear, love or hate, we are weaving the fabric of the universe that holds us all. We are here because we need encouragement, because we need strength, because so often we get distracted. We get in a rush, we don't think, we choose the easy way, when the harder path is what our spirits truly long for. We are here because none of us is perfect, but together we inspire one another to try again, to take another step. We are here because we have felt the stirrings of love and grace in our hearts and hands, and we crave more of that. For ourselves, and not only for ourselves, but for everyone. We are here because how we live matters. Blessed be.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.